So first and foremost,
I think the addition of pant leggings is really when you start to see your heroes get watered down.
can't even muster the ability to play straight pants that one.
Which is a good argument for absolute rulers.
Everybody is going to get behind me. They're all going to love me, and my support numbers will go through.
When you hang out with the hero, it doesn't go well for you.
My grandfather took the cob and just slid it right through the bar.
Oh, God. Okay.
And that became the dominant way our family did it.
Okay.
And so, in both of my marriages, they were treated to that.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah, rage haiku.
How do you imagine the rubber chicken point?
My grandmother actually vacuumed in her pearls. Oh my God, it all makes sense. We'd had the sexual revolution.
It might have just been a Canadian standoff. We're going to go back to 9/11.
Dude, get over it. Nobody understands what the Bill of Rights is supposed to be.
Agra has no business being that thick.
When the cultists win, we all lose.
This is a Geek History of Time.
We're connect journey to the real world. My name is Ed Blaylock, world history teacher at the 7th grade level here in Northern California, currently doing my job through the magic of the internet. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot else going on right now. Who are you?
I'm Damian Harmony. I'm a Latin teacher up here in Northern California. And I also don't have very much else going on because that's basically finals week.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been exciting, let me tell you, especially with all the power outages. So we can now date this. It was the time of the January storms. So
Yes.
yeah. My neighbor and I were both sharing glee over the fact that we had decided to actually get out ahead of the curve and redo our fence.
Oh, yeah.
Because that thing would have blown down.
Oh, yeah, in a heartbeat.
So easy, yeah. So it's nice.
No,
it's nice.
Driving Robert to his daycare the day after the big blow.
Mm-hmm.
Every construction site we passed, the chain link fences at every one of them had blown down.
Oh, yeah.
Like everywhere. And I wound up taking breakfast to my wife at her workplace. And if you are not familiar with the Sacramento area, one of the nicknames of Sacramento is the City of Trees, which is, lovely most of the time. But after a major windstorm, we turned into the City of Debris.
Ooh, yes.
And I was a couple of times going down the street in front of her workplace. There were actually a couple of piles of downed foliage that were serious enough. I was looking at them like, is this car going to clear this?
Oh, wow.
Because I was driving her car, which has a lower ground clearance than mine, because we had not gotten our power back yet. And I couldn't get into our garage to get my car.
Oh, there's no manual way to get in there? Wow.
No. Welcome to apartment living.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, we pay extra money every month to actually have a garage to park one of our cars in. And that day I was like, I feel like we bought ourselves into a problem.
Yeah. Well, it's a once in a year problem, but it's still, you didn't pay for that minus one day. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But the thing is, you say it's a once in a year problem. Where we are, we've been pretty lucky. I think this is the first time we've had, this is the first time we've had an outage that has lasted that long. I think in the time that we've been living here. So that night, as we were lying in bed awake, in my case, because I need a CPAP and I just couldn't breathe to fall asleep, we wound up buying a battery backup, one of those camping batteries.
Yep.
In case the next time this happens. So.
Gotcha. Well.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I necessarily told you what I'm writing about today. So I'm just going to dive right in.
No, this is all. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
So we're going to talk about Star Trek today. And my working title is Star Trek was incidentally socially justice focused. Now,
Okay.
I'm only talking about the original series here. I think that there is, I did over 6,000 words just for TOS, and I left out a bunch. So I can imagine that TNG and DS9 and Voyager will get their own explorations later. But right now it's just TOS because it's far enough away from us that it's worthy of discussion.
Okay.
So, creator Gene Roddenberry, like
Yes.
Rod Serling, served during World War II in the Pacific Theater. Roddenberry was a B-17 pilot, and he flew 89 combat missions.
All right.
Now, yeah?
Okay. Army Air Corps.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, B-17, so yeah.
So he would have been, so we're talking about the Pineapple Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. I had not realized. I had known he had been a pilot,
Mm-hmm.
but I had not realized it was specifically B-17s in the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
all right.
he had an incident where he overshot the runway, crashed, and killed 2 of his crew. He was found not at fault for that in an inquest, as often happens. Like, things happen. So,
Yeah.
now once he got back to the States, he flew commercially for Pan Am. And on Pan Am, he would do their long flights, and he would fly from like Johannesburg up to, oh God, I forget where, Damascus. Which I think was their longest flight that they had at the time. And on a 1947,
That's a pretty long one.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is.
That's the flipping continent right there.
Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The long way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, on a 1947 flight from Karachi to Istanbul, the plane that he was technically the 3rd officer in, but he was actually doing what's called deadheading, which you're hitching a ride with no real duties, but you can step in if needs be.
Yeah.
He was on a plane called the Clipper Eclipse, and the plane crashed in the Syrian desert. And so this is the second time he's crashed. And he helped pull people to safety, and then he organized search parties to go find help. After everybody was rescued and taken out, he stayed behind for about 2 weeks to answer Syrian government questions about the crash, while most of the U.S. nationals got to go home. Now, the details of the crash are kind of interesting. Roddenberry was giving the pilot a break, and he ended up having to deal with engine problems, and he shut down the first engine, as was apparently the same.
Standard operating procedure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you know the model of aircraft?
No, but it's called it's called, where did I write that down? It is called the Clipper Eclipse. It is something that is the Clipper Eclipse incident or plane crash is actually somewhat famous for the following reasons. So it was a 4-engine plane, and it could still stay aloft with 3 engines. And since none of the airstrips en route could affect repairs, the captain, Joseph Hart Jr., decided to push on to Istanbul. Now, previously, the captain and the first officer, or the purser, were inspecting the plane, and they found that something was leaking. They thought it was hydraulic fluid or perhaps oil, and it got repaired, but obviously not enough. Now, the other 3 engines began to overheat due to the added strain of making up for the other engine. And so Hart, the captain, decided to descend a little bit to cool them off, get a little extra air across them.
Yeah,
and even at this point, he still decides to press on as they're passing over Iraq, because he's concerned that they're just not going to be able to get to repairs. And he's like, no, we need to continue on to Istanbul. Then the number 2 engine caught fire, and it began to burn so hot that the fire suppression efforts failed. The magnesium inside started burning up, and at this point, the fire spread to the wing.
Yeah, once you get a magnesium fire going, you're not going to be able to put that out.
Yeah.
And for those in the audience for whom this detail might be important, it's darn it, my phone shut down in the middle. It was a Lockheed L-049 Constellation. So anyway.
Okay.
4-engine aircraft, as you said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, now a 3-engine aircraft, because the number 2 engine fell off. Then the gas lines ruptured.
Now a 2-engine aircraft, because the first one had been feathered.
Yeah. And then the gas line ruptured, and that ignited even more.
Christmas.
So at 3 in the morning or 3:30 in the morning, the plane crashed. And it was a good crash, as crashes go, until one of the engines dragged on the ground and took it into a loop while on the ground, which then split the plane in two.
Yeah, ground loop. Yeah.
Roddenberry broke 2 ribs. Both pilots died. The plane was on fire, and Roddenberry organized the evacuation from the burning plane, rescuing several people personally. In fact, like destroying a seatbelt in order to get someone out because it was jammed, until the plane's flames were simply too hot to continue to rescue folks from. His final rescue died in his arms, actually. Then afterward, they organized supplies and got all the first aid kits together and started treating people. And then he said, let's blow up the raft so that we have a shade shelter for when the sun comes up.
Okay, good thinking.
Yep. So he's very capable. Okay.
Yes.
And he is in there doing good work and rescuing people. And this will come in later toward the end, although some might accuse me of shoehorning, and I wouldn't say that you're necessarily wrong. But while they're there, desert tribesmen come out to meet them, and Roddenberry goes out to speak with them because now he is the ranking person.
Yeah, he is the authority.
Yep. He makes first contact with them, pun intended, and and then he convinces them to only rob the dead.
Okay.
So he's having search teams go and try to find a city, and he notices that there's some telegraph cables and telegraph poles. So he says, go to the telegraph poles and take 2 teams, go in opposite directions. One way or the other, you're going to find a city.
Yeah, civilization, somebody. Yeah.
Meanwhile, now, because they were in the Syrian desert, they were close enough to the Euphrates River that fishermen also came up and then robbed the passengers. So pretty soon, the survivors had only their clothing with them. He, again, like I said, he ends up going, I think he ends up getting to a small town, I forget the name, and radios in that this had happened. And at first they thought it was part of another Pan Am plane that was slightly different named. I forget what it was, but they thought that was part of the Around the World tour. And so it kind of slowed things down, but eventually they get everybody out of there. And he stays for 2 weeks and whatnot. Now, there's another incident that I didn't go too much into detail on that happened thereafter, shortly thereafter, and he quits over that incident. So now you have somebody who is willing to quit over what he thinks is not okay. So
Okay.
it was also found later that Pan Am itself was negligent in the maintenance of these engines. So you even had a measure of accountability for a corporation. I mean, it was the halcyon days of the 1940s. So.
Yeah, so
from 1949 to 1953, Gene Roddenberry was a police officer. And he's a police officer who's trying to become a TV writer. Now, as a police officer, he's mostly working the traffic beat, and he's writing speeches for the police chief and for his captain.
Okay.
So he's basically public relations officer for the police, for the LAPD. So he'd moved from, I want to say, New York to LA to pursue a writing career, but he became a policeman.
Yeah.
He eventually begins getting more and more successful at writing. Turns out that the captain actually, I think the captain was a friend of his dad's, because Roddenberry's dad had been a police officer. And it turns out the captain had been friends with his dad, and I believe was trying to keep edging him toward, like, introducing him to various people who were writing for television. This is the nascency of TV in LA, so it would make sense that the police chief would be friends with people who are, TV studio guys.
Yeah.
We saw Bruce Wayne being friends with the police chief, so.
Yeah, so, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a trope for a reason. Mm-hmm. Connected people are connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he ends up getting enough connections that he writes enough. He starts writing successfully enough and selling scripts, and he begins writing for a TV show called The West Point Story, which also was just called West Point. And it's a very forgettable TV show, and it's a TV show that had the full cooperation of the U.S. military. And that's when he quits. He's like, I can make a living at this now.
Okay.
And he's pitching ideas. He's submitting scripts. He's getting awards, actually. Often he's writing ideas for shows that are set in atypical locations. The one that really stuck out to me was there was a cruise ship in Hawaii called Cruise Ship Hawaii that he wrote a pilot for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not much of a title there.
No. Well, again, it's the beginning.
You can tell. You can tell that the art form is nascent.
Yes, it really is.
Like, what are we gonna? So, give me your elevator pitch. Well, okay.
Okay,
So
we're throwing baseballs in an elevator.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a cruise ship.
Yeah.
In Honolulu. Oh, okay. All right. And what are you thinking about titling it? Cruise Ship Hawaii. Yeah. Okay. You know what? All right. It's clear.
Are you married to the title? Because I'm thinking we could narrow it down. You know,
maybe we could. What's the name of the ship?
Yeah.
So talking a soap opera. Is this a comedy? Give me some information here. I can build something. But okay.
But actually, back then you didn't have to. That's the best.
No,
that's
you didn't, because the art form was brand new. And it was like, all right, no, we got time in the schedule. We got to fill. Do it.
Right. We're doing the template. You know, we're building it as we fly it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Probably a bad choice of words given his past, but
given his background and some specific incidents there, that's not.
He's also writing plenty of Western scripts, which is really popular at the time. That was America loved Jedi Geki movies. So, wait, no, it's the other.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
There was actually the ubiquity is the word I was hunting for, of Westerns and police dramas, detective shows was so great that Mad Magazine. Actually, there was a gag in Mad Magazine in 50, I don't remember what, where they were talking about, and now the government is going to go in and they're going to start regulating television programming. And, you can't have two Westerns back to back. You have to put a police detective show in between them.
That's awesome.
But
that's how it went. I mean, a lot of TV shows were, reskins of radio dramas and stuff like that.
Lone Ranger.
Yeah. And because
there was a TV show, Dick Tracy.
Because they're in LA, you have access to outside scenes where the police could be, and you have access to a cooperative police department, and you have access to all the places that you could go to make it look like the Old West.
Yeah.
So, you had a lot of that.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. If television had been born instead in, the Pacific Northwest, you'd have had lumberjack dramas. My God,
I want lumberjack dramas now. Besides
Don't
Twin Peaks. Besides Twin Peaks. That was a lumberjack drama.
Yeah, okay. One of the characters was a log. Okay, fine.
There was a fish in the percolator.
All right. Yeah, okay. I want to argue, but I can't. But So and everything, every no matter whether you were in West Texas or Virginia or Tombstone, Arizona, everything looked like the hills outside L.A.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is cheap because you just go out there and point a camera.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, also, he would write episodic TV shows that traveled. So it was more, the setting was with the people and their infrastructure than it was anything else. There's just some
like
themes
Route
there.
66.
Honestly, I never saw that one, and that didn't come up in the list of things that he wrote for. But there were several where you're following characters who are moving through different locales.
Okay.
So, which is basically what a Western is, honestly. It's either trouble comes to the ranch, or guys are on the range.
Yeah, this is true.
Now, at this point, I can't find much evidence of his ideology. He seems pretty vanilla, pretty bland. And then I ran across something about a TV show called Riverboat that ran from 59 to 61. And it was set on a riverboat.
Seems kind of obvious in retrospect. Yeah. Okay.
So it was set in 1860s Mississippi.
Now, when we say 1860s, do we mean the first half of the decade or the second half of the decade?
Early, yeah.
So it's antebellum.
Or it's
Okay.
bellum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anti or
Yeah.
what's during? Anti is
you'd
before.
use in bello.
In bello.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's either antebellum or in bello.
Yeah. Or postbellum. Yeah.
Postbellum. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
Now here's the thing.
This is not leading in a direction I'm entirely going to be thrilled with. I fear.
So as it turns out, they didn't want to have any black actors on the show, and Roddenberry argued so much with the showrunners and the producers that he lost his job. He was like, "You can't do Mississippi in the 1860s and not have black people."
So wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah. This is the
Hold
first I found of his ideology.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not even. You know what? I am pleased to discover that is the case in this incident. What I am kind of more gobsmacked than I probably should be, because we are talking about the 50s here, is somebody wanted to set a show on a riverboat.
Yes.
In Mississippi.
Yes.
In the 1860s.
Yes.
And they didn't want to have any black actors.
Well, there is blackface.
Like wait. Okay,
but honestly, if you set it in a riverboat, you don't have to have them land in any towns where you land in the white section of town or in the black section of town. And you could have it where, I mean, you could write it in where white America would be like,
Are you never going to see anybody deliver food to anybody aboard the ship? Are you never going to see
You could have a young man doing that.
Background?
A young, plucky young man, a Jack London type character.
Not historically accurately, you couldn't.
No, of course not. I mean, do you remember Happy Days? That shit was made in the 70s, and it's not that different. They said it in Milwaukee because people pretended that black people didn't exist in Milwaukee. But like Malcolm X's family literally lived there.
Lived in Milwaukee. Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
No, I understand. But like there's
like at least 90210 was accurate.
Yeah, like
it's, this is gentrified. They did price everybody out.
Utterly gentrified. They priced everybody out. It's the OC. Like, it's near there.
Yeah.
Like, but wow. It's one of those moments where you're like, well, I know that, the history of my country is pretty fucking racist. And then I hear that and I'm like, that's not just racist. That's fucking stupid racist.
Well, it's one of those like, oh, that's how it manifests. Okay. Yeah. Just on and on and on.
Yeah.
In the weirdest ways.
The guys writing the show probably didn't think they were white supremacists, but like,
right.
Dude.
Yeah. Well, the guys running the show are studio guys. The studios were instituted in the 20s.
Yeah.
And we talk about nascency of movies, right? We talked about that old model, and it was very often people from the Eastern Seaboard and or southern cities, and they would come out, or it was people living in the far west, where, again, you have transplants from the South coming out, and you have people who are in the skilled trades, and that was shut out to black people for the most part. So, I mean, you have this kind of revolving reinforcement of white supremacy going into it all. So it does unfortunately make some sense that the people, and here's where it gets really insidious, because the people who were running the studios, there were a number of people that he talked to and that he dealt with that I don't really include in this because I'm more focused on him, but people who were absolutely 100% Jewish, but they changed their names. And then you do have that complicity with, the need to hide yourself in some ways so that you can make money, and therefore you have to appeal to the German market in the 1930s during film, or you have to appeal to the Southern market because you don't want racist station owners in the South to not carry your broadcast for NBC. and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's so just ingrained. Like you said, they didn't think they were white supremacist. They were answering a market need, and that's as far as they could go with it.
And again, it was they were product of the system that they were working in.
Yes.
And I mean, it's like the same thing. My buddy Sean works in tech.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he is constantly winds up pushing back against, management in the companies that he has worked for, but including the one he's working for right now, is they talk about hiring people,
mm-hmm.
and like, well, we don't want to be racist in the way we're hiring, but it's just these guys don't have the experience. Well, they don't have the experience because nobody's fucking hiring them,
right? Why was the monkey dead? Because it fell out of a tree. Why did it fall out of a tree? Because it was dead. And you're like, at some point.
And when you're dealing with that,
mm-hmm.
like looking at somebody's resume and, putting it in the ash can based on a name,
mm-hmm.
like, dude, like he at the company he and I worked at together,
mm-hmm.
A number of years ago, he got into a shouting match with the HR director of the company,
mm-hmm.
Because the guy was basically saying, without saying it straight up, the guy was saying he didn't want to hire somebody because the guy was Hispanic.
Right.
And well, we were sending people out to job sites, and we don't want clients like, no, stop.
Right.
Listen to yourself.
Yeah.
And then really tell me what is it, like, no, this guy is, because apparently the guy was hyper qualified, highly competent, and they were like, well, yeah, but we've got some clients that aren't gonna like having him out on the site. And it's like,
well, then their money's not worth your time.
Yeah, like, dude. Yeah. So anyway,
now a little bit about the show Riverboat. Now the show follows Darren McGavin as the captain, and for the first half of the first season, it follows young Burt Reynolds as his aide-de-camp.
Okay.
So it's a show about a ship traveling where you focus on the captain and his friend on a boat.
Okay.
With a hard-drinking engineer.
Okay.
And a clearly Scottish character.
As the engineer?
No, but a different character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And eventually Abraham Lincoln.
Okay. Who, of course, also appears in the original series. All right.
Can you guess the name of the riverboat?
Not the Enterprise.
It is the Enterprise.
No,
the shit-eating
really?
grin I've had on my face for that. It's the Enterprise.
Yeah, you should see the rat grin. Everybody, you should see the cheese ball fucking grin on Damian's face with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So check this out. In one episode, the captain gets involved in a whip fight with a really tall villain and nearly strangles him to death.
Okay.
In another one, they run into a...
Back up.
Okay.
Back up.
Okay.
The captain.
Yes.
Darren McGavin.
Uh-huh.
Darren McGavin gets into a whip fight.
Yes.
And nearly strangles somebody.
Yes.
I can't picture that. Anyway.
With someone who's really tall, by the way.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like in an arena, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So in another episode, they run into a deserted area where a doctor is trying to determine the cause of a plague that depopulated the area.
Okay.
And they run into people who are a group of people who are searching for a utopia in another episode.
On the Mississippi in the 1860s.
Sure.
Like the whip fight thing, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's the Deep South. It's the 1860s. Like, okay.
Yeah.
My all that lines up perfectly with all of my own cultural prejudices. Like, no, I can totally see that. But a bunch of people hunting for a utopia along the Mississippi River. Which, by the way, at that point was fully navigated and completely, I mean, as much as the Mississippi was ever charted, it was like, No. Every square inch of the bank of that fucking river had been mapped.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They also took on a father-daughter acting troupe that had the father playing Macbeth in an episode.
So did he just like copy all of those scripts over and like change nouns and
some
like
things got changed, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So in the final episode of Riverboat,
yeah.
Gene Ball and DeForest Kelley came aboard. Now, you might remember DeForest Kelley because he played Dr. McCoy.
I remember DeForest.
But do you remember
Do I need to get out my nerd card to show you? Of course I know DeForest. Come on.
Okay. So do you
Jean
remember?
Ball.
Okay. Well, you will remember her in a second because in the first episode that ever aired, there was a old flame that Doc McCoy ran into, who turns out was a salt-sucking monster. Remember?
Right. That's
played
her.
by Gene Ball.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
Now,
okay.
You and I have talked about this before. Gene Roddenberry pitched Star Trek to Desilu Productions as very famously what?
Wagon Train to the Stars.
Except if you don't have other wagons behind you, it's not a goddamn wagon train.
No.
So the reason why he said Wagon Train to the Stars was because Riverboat didn't do well. So he didn't want to tie it to that failure. And I think because he was like, well, Westerns are doing well, so if we could just explain it that way. And so there you go. Okay, now this is 1961. He actually has a discussion with a friend of his, a producer, I forget for where, and he discusses just the idea of having a show specifically set in space aboard a ship with a multi-ethnic crew.
Okay.
This is maybe a year after he gets canned from doing Riverboat.
Well, everybody got canned from doing River. I mean, you know.
But like he quit over it though. Like he got fired over his arguments, right?
Okay, yeah. All right, good point. Yeah.
So,
okay.
In 1964, he finally puts pen to paper and writes up a 16-page pitch, and he registers it with the Writers Guild of America as Star Trek. 64.
Okay.
So, as he's pitching it around, Roddenberry noticed that there was a paucity of sci-fi on TV, even though Lost in Space was starting to gain popularity. So he would alternately pitch it as a Western in space, specifically, as we said, Wagon Train to the Stars.
Wagon Train to the Stars, yeah.
Or if he read the room and he's like, oh, these people want to have something that competes with Lost in Space, he would amp up its sci-fi nature. And yeah. Now that's interesting to me because again, it's not a wagon train, right?
No.
And it's clear, and if you remember, I told you about that show that he pitched about the cruise ship in Hawaii.
Yes.
So this is the third thing that he's been involved with that involves a ship, which is a contained set, traveling to different locales with the relationships of the crew being the thing.
Yeah. Well, because for the art form,
mm-hmm.
the idea of having, a self-contained kind of, carryover set of characters is makes things a lot easier from a production standpoint.
And you can do bottle episodes.
Oh yeah, no, you can for sure, which again makes the writing simpler.
Yeah, and now you have a ship in a bottle episode.
Yeah, okay.
Now, from the jump, Roddenberry is aiming at a multi-ethnic approach to things, and he obviously took issue with people not being on board with diversity on TV. These are all things that are demonstrably true about him. Yes. But as per the usual, if we're going to understand the art and the work, we need to understand the author and the creator, and we need to look at his earlier life. So I already told you about that incident where he saved people's lives. I would point out that there are a number of episodes where shit crashes, where rescues are affected, where you have to make those kinds of decisions. I think that worked its way in a fairly benign way. Now, Roddenberry himself was born in the 1920s. I think he was like 21, and he was raised in El Paso, Texas, as a Southern Baptist.
Okay.
Now, around age 14, he began to question his own religion, and while he sang in the church choir, he would make up his own lyrics. That was too fun not to keep in.
Okay.
Because I did the same thing when I went to youth group when I was 14.
Why am I not surprised?
Right. Well, the surprise is more
Actually,
that I went to a youth group.
Yeah, I was going to say, the only part of that that's all surprising is you went to youth group?
Yeah, it was before I started working, so I needed something to do. It was...
Okay.
Yeah. So... but yeah, he seemed to believe ultimately in a kind of secular humanism that definitely stopped short of atheism. He continued to work with churches through his adult life. He accepted their praise. He wrote letters back and forth with them, having discussion with various representatives of those churches. But he did maintain a religious interest in other religions. For instance, he called Catholicism a work of art. When he married...
I can get behind that.
I'm sure you can. When he married Majel Barrett, it was in a Shinto ceremony in Japan.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because Shinto is weddings, Buddhism is funerals.
There you go.
Culturally, that's how that works out.
Right. And I think, what is it? You're born a Buddhist, you live a Shinto, you die a Buddhist.
Yeah. Generally, yeah, pretty much. And Shinto is, fertility and all of that kind of stuff. Buddhism is like, let's not wind up being a hungry ghost in hell.
Right.
So,
Now,
anyway.
His approach to religion, and I'll give you some more quotes about it in a second, but I think, and it was really, as I was looking at how he conceived of religion, what he thought of it, is really where my thesis kind of came about. He's essentially a narcissist. And I notice this by the way he looks at religion, because, and I'll explain why more so when it comes to women, but when it comes to religion, his problem with Christianity didn't seem to be moral or even particularly philosophical. It was that he didn't get why he had to be subservient to any god.
Okay.
And we're going to come back round to that much later. But
yeah, okay.
Here's a quote. How can I take seriously a God image that requires that I prostrate myself every 7 days and praise it? That sounds to me like a very insecure personality. He said that.
Wow. And I'm having flash forwards to Undiscovered Country? No.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Or no, not Undiscovered.
No. Why does God need a starship? I can't remember.
It's number 5. Yeah. Where he meets God and he's not impressed.
Yeah. Well, and it turns out it's not actually God, but anyway, yeah.
Is it ever? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Now his was a more egoistic approach. He said, quote, "It's not true that I don't believe in God. I believe in a kind of God. It's just not other people's God. I reject religion. I accept the notion of God."
Okay.
Now, he's being quoted here usually in the late 60s, early 70s, mid 70s even. Now, again, he's a guy in his 40s and 50s talking about religion. He's gotten married in a Shinto ceremony out east in Japan. He honestly comes across as one of the many men who were creatives in the 60s. He's Lucas-like in his tendency to fetishize other religions, and he's ultimately disdainful of dogma. That's what I can figure. Like, he doesn't want the rules. He doesn't like those. He's spiritual, not religious.
So he's a silent with a lot of boomer tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what I'm getting.
Yeah.
The vibe I'm getting here.
Yeah.
Is,
or he's like the proto-boomer.
Yeah, and it's interesting. There's a lot of and this is a comparison I never thought I'd ever make, but between Roddenberry and Heinlein, there's a lot of I'm getting a very similar kind of vibe. Heinlein in the 60s turned into a free love, smoke 'em if you got 'em, like whatever they are.
Right.
But with a much more libertarian, kind of right wing edge to it, which is weird. But legalize pot and have sex with everybody, but by the same token, patriotism. And it's a weird. And as a Heinlein fan, I'm saying this, but it's a weird kind of thing. But it's a similar kind of deal. And their Heinlein, I think, was older, but that's an interesting parallel that these two guys who are creatives of a generation that we don't associate with those kind of attitudes both wound up going that way.
Well, was Heinlein also born in the further west?
I don't recall. Let me look it up.
I mean, because Roddenberry's raised as a Southern Baptist, so white people religion, but in El Paso, which is surrounded by Mexicans. And so you've got that. Oh, again, he's fetishizing the other. He's fetishizing Catholicism a bit by, it's a beautiful work of art. It's what those brown people have. He never said that, but it would make sense that he.
It's also what the whitest people on the planet have. I just want to point out.
Yes, but in his experience in El Paso, it wouldn't have been that.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. The Catholicism he would have seen wouldn't have been Irish or German. It would have been It would have been Hispanic.
Yeah.
So Heinlein was born in 2007.
Where?
In Butler, Missouri.
Okay, farther west.
So
So that frontierish. Now Heinlein is. I could see him being more libertarian than Roddenberry here too, because Roddenberry lived closer to a border, so he's seeing a lot more intermixing of people, whereas Heinlein lived. I mean, he was born in 2007, so he's living. He's being raised by people who have a living memory of when the frontier was a thing that you pushed back further.
Yes.
And it's very white supremacist. So yes, again.
Immensely.
So it makes sense that Heinlein would go libertarian, whereas Roddenberry would go more liberal. And again, Roddenberry ends up living in LA, and he ends up, kind of, and he's a creative in that way. So he's disdainful of dogma. I have no problem looking downward on dogma.
Okay.
It's not that much of a stretch.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well done.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But he said that
just watch out for my karma.
He said that organized religion was for people who needed, quote, a malfunctioning substitute brain.
Malfunctioning substitute brain.
Yeah. He said basically people needed a substitute brain, and it was a malfunctioning one at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an awkward way to phrase that, but okay.
Yeah. I think Damian phrased it.
Could be. But, it's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, having been raised in El Paso, Texas as a Southern Baptist, and that being his formative experience of
and rejecting
religion,
it too.
And turning around and rejecting it.
Yeah.
The thing is, whatever your initial experience is of organized religion, it's going to color your outlook on organized religion forever. Like it's a kind of paradigm thing that is just it's part of your, it turns into part of your base level coding.
Now, as you're saying that, Southern Baptist is the bloodletting, is the it's
handling snakes.
Yeah. So it's the don't fuck because you're going to hell, right? So he's 14 and he's realizing that a system that says don't fuck and you should be fighting people all the time. And he's like, I don't really like that. I like to make up my own lyrics to their songs.
Yeah.
So he's already a bit of a contrarian, and then he's reacting to that, and like you said, it becomes part of your coding. You're responding to it. I think that response is absolutely it's wrapping itself around a very underdeveloped and arrestedly developed sense of ethics.
Okay.
So
I'm interested in seeing where that goes here with your thesis. But
now,
the one thing I want to get this out of the way before we move on. of all of the religions for somebody to be raised in, and all of the environments of religion for somebody to be raised in, who turns into a contrarian. The breed of Southern Baptism that we're talking about is, and I'm going to do this as unpejoratively as I can, is such an immensely top down. The theology is all very, God is the big daddy, and he's not a benevolent, and he's benevolent, but he's incredibly stern. And just that being your formative experience. No wonder he condescended to call Catholicism a beautiful work of art.
Well, and again, he sees that at the other church. So he sees the stained glass that El Paso Mexican Catholics are doing.
So anyway,
so he is saying these things. Now I kind of get it, because in the 1950s and 60s, religion at that point, especially in white America, which is very different than religion than Southern Baptist for Black America.
Immensely.
Which he, frankly, either seems to have ignored completely or been thoroughly unaware of. And being a white guy born in El Paso and then moving to L.A., you could not see Black people for much of your life, probably.
A very long time. Yeah.
So, but he saw religion as a tool of conformity and control, and fair game there, quite honestly. It's the 1950s and 60s.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah.
So and because he's not Black, having the Black experience in America, he doesn't see religion as a tool of emancipation or of liberation,
resistance, or comfort, or hope.
Yeah. So now, when it comes to the abrasions that often happen when one religion holds more power than another religion, he was decidedly the woke dude in the middle about it. So like when stuff happened in the 60s and the 70s, and he'd be like, well, you shouldn't call one group terrorists and call the other group freedom fighters when they're both doing the same thing. But really, religion is bad, and really violence is bad on both sides. If they would both just wake up and realize that they're both the same, then it would be better. And that's and the gem of that is, yes, that sounds great, but you're masturbating.
You're jacking off philosophically without getting anything fucking done.
Right.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, beyond that, what we have had to be educated about, I think, when I say we, I mean well-meaning white people. What we have had to be educated about in the years since then is that characterization puts an incredibly unequal burden on the two sides.
Yes.
Because it's really, really easy for, the people in power in the equation to say, all right, well, what do you want? Right? And it's an awful lot harder for people who don't have the power, don't have the access to power, to make themselves heard.
Yes.
And to explain the reality of their lived experience.
Yeah. And I would also point out, and again, speaking as a formerly good white liberal, so I can speak from experience.
Woke dude in the middle.
Woke dude in the middle. The real problem is that not everybody thinks like me. If only you children would. I mean, just the colonizer mentality that has. Let me erase both of your experiences and just tell you, what is correct. Which, by the way, that's going to come back up a number of times.
I'm sure the Y chromosome arrogance in that is amazing.
Yeah.
And coming at this as somebody who was raised by Reagan Republicans, I have had to come even farther.
Mm.
Because originally, yeah, I don't even want to get into it, but yeah.
Right. Well, so
Yeah.
so sitting there and telling a group that is literally fighting for their literal existential existence, like ignoring them is an existential threat, and telling them like, well, there's blame to be had on both sides when the other side has been an oppressor, like, and could ignore you, and that means your death. Yeah, that kind of blanket statement does nobody any good but the oppressors.
Any good at all.
Yeah, it's a passive version of protecting the status quo.
Yeah.
So anyway, he talks like that a lot. Now, Roddenberry figured that by the time Star Trek would have happened, 23rd century, humans would have grown past the need for religion, and I absolutely see why that's an attractive idea. I happen to really hope for it, but that doesn't mean that we're there yet, or that the way of getting there is a good way. Especially when you look at further Star Trek properties, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we had to go through the eugenics wars." It's like, "Oh shit, never mind, not worth it." But now he figured that the need for religion would no longer be there, and as such, there's very little room for religion in Star Trek. The characters themselves don't have much of a religion, at least on the surface. And I'm going to get into it more. Now, it's pretty clear in The Next Generation also, and this is probably like one of the only references I'll make to TNG, because I just watched this episode again, too. The episode where Picard becomes known as the Picard to the Proto-Vulcan race.
Right, yeah.
Straight up mentions that race had already done away with superstition and religion. Those were paired long ago, and that the real disaster was that they were possibly going to start believing in a god again. Not that Picard is a false god. That's a given, obviously, but like straight up that they will start believing in a god of any kind. That's the problem. Now, this was a season 3 episode, and it was a really good one, but it was a season 3 episode while Gene was still alive. Later on, you'll see other ones that deal with religion in a very different way after Gene is gone. But that is another story, as Conan would say.
Yes.
So his approach seems to be similar when it comes to marriage and sex, too. Roddenberry pursued and eventually won the affection of his first wife. And by his approach, I mean that narcissism. Because his first wife, Eileen, was reportedly very beautiful. And he pursued her hard. At first, she was uninterested, but he persisted. And I always hear stories like this, and now, looking back, I truly wonder what ability a woman had to tell him, fuck off, I'm not interested, don't call me anymore, without risking some sort of social derision.
Yeah.
So it's a red flag to me. Now, her family saw him as lower class. He's the son of a police officer, and they discouraged it, but he was either charming enough, or frankly, women didn't have the agency to fully be able to say no back then forever.
Yeah.
And he benefited from that. I'm not sure which it is. I don't know. But I always wonder when you hear about the ladies' man, voted most ladies' man in 1964. I'm always like, was he getting full consent?
Yeah, you wonder.
So
sad.
Yeah. Now, it could be that she's very beautiful and she didn't see anything in him, and then he like opened up to her and all that. But it really doesn't seem like it, given what I've learned about Gene Roddenberry. And he has the same narcissism, the same egoism. I want that. That's beautiful. I'm going to go get that.
Okay.
Not, I'm going to find a way to match her needs and wants or find mutual interest. Just, it's that pursuit mentality.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I don't necessarily mean this as a defense of him in that case.
Sure.
But for context, remember that remember the decade we're talking about. Same as you wonder about whether she had agency.
Right.
you also have to keep in mind that the expectation in
Yes,
that time period
absolutely.
was that's what a man does.
Yes, and that's what a woman does too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, I mean it's
you know,
it's that I really can't stay, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to pretend not to want because there's no way that you can actually say what you want and da 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 da. That's
Yeah.
why people always ask, would you ever go back in time? I'm like, hell no. Like it's bad enough as it is. Like I don't want to go further back. So
Yeah, my kids ask me, Mr. Blaylock, would you want to go back in time? And I'm like, no, because antibiotics
yeah,
are a thing.
yeah,
Plumbing is a thing.
right.
And like I live in a society with a much higher threshold of violence than there has been in just about any place on the planet,
Yes.
at any point in history. So like I don't have to worry about, getting into a simple, a wagon fender bender and getting stabbed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
those are my big three. And then on top of that, there's all of the other, all of the, social, interaction, social status.
Mm-hmm.
If I went back in time, how do I know that I'm going to be able to convince everybody I'm a noble? Like I'm teaching my students feudalism like right now.
Right.
We just moved from feudalism to talking about the medieval church today.
Yeah. Well, I know
Or
how you'll
yesterday,
convince
but
everybody that
yesterday
you're a
instead.
witch. You just do math
Yeah.
higher than 10.
Yeah. Sadly, yes. But like if they look at me, they're going to be like, well, okay, he's clearly wealthy because look at that gut.
Right.
This is clearly not somebody who's burning 12,000 calories a day doing serf's work.
Exactly.
But like by the same token, he clearly is no good on the back of a horse, and like no, man, I don't like let's look at the benefits of our current time in comparison to literally any other in the world.
Exactly.
So but anyway, we're getting off subject.
Oh, that's okay. I'm going to go further away anyway. So they get married.
So yeah.
And then
how long were they married?
26 years.
Really?
Yeah, it gets worse. It's shitty. He is a shitty human
really?
being. Yeah, he really is. By any measure, he's a dick.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah, they get married.
It's funny because you don't hear this story from the people who worked with him. Like,
well, yeah, because it's glossed over. Like, that's Gene.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because I mean, if you listen,
I was about to say,
yeah,
Wild Bill Shatner might not be the best, source to think about that with.
Right.
But, Leonard Nimoy never had a bad word to say about him. DeForest Kelley and he were.
True.
It kind of sounds like they were buds.
They were, and it's part of the boys' club that he cultivated. But if you look at how he treated actors on TNG and writers, it's really the way he treats the writers. And again, this plays to his narcissism. He's really good to people who are on screen, the visible people, the cool kids.
Okay, all right.
He's a dick to everyone else. So. Yeah, they get married, and they'd courted and stuff. Then he went off to war, and he comes back. They get married, and he moves out to L.A., gets a job with the police department, and basically he's working in the traffic division, and then he starts writing speeches, and he's part of the communications, essentially. So he's a police officer, yes, but really he's the communications guy. And almost as soon as he gets there, he starts banging secretaries. That's what he does. And everyone in the police department knows, that he has an unhappy marriage. And he still goes ahead and has 2 kids with his wife.
Really?
Yeah. So his first wife and he had 2 kids.
Okay.
And then eventually he's going to, spoiler alert, he ends up with Majel Barrett for most of his life, or the second half of his life at least. And they have another kid, Rob? I forget his Rod, maybe. He was Eugene Jr., but I think they called him Rod. But anyway, he begins to find success as a writer. like I said, and then as a producer. So he's a climber, and he starts to increase the frequency and amount of the affairs that he's having. His wife, Eileen, confided to her friends that she thought that she would lose him to his new career given the social life that it seemed to encourage or require. Not that he would never come home, it's just that he would go home with other people. And she wasn't wrong. Now, he's writing for, I think it's called The Police Story, or some sort of serialized police drama that has, I mean, okay, he's writing police dramas, right? By 56, he's quit the police department.
Yeah.
But he's got plenty of contacts. He's got cooperation. I mean, he's really dialed in an odd kind of way. And there's a young actress that he meets on this one called Nichelle Nichols.
Oh, okay.
And they become friends. And that friendship turned into a relationship once Star Trek started. I know.
Shut the front
I
door.
know. Yeah.
That I had not known.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah. She said she kind of fell in love, actually. And with him, she said it felt kind of the same. She knew that he was unhappily married. She knew she was another woman. And she was actually worried for him for what being in an openly interracial relationship would mean to his career. And she said in her own autobiography that he never seemed to care about that. Now, again, I think that he gets credit for being woke by virtue of the fact that he's a narcissist, and so he's like, I don't care.
Because he's a contrarian and he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
He winds up getting woke tokens.
Yeah, he gets his wokens.
Okay.
And so then, because he's Gene Roddenberry, and he's having sex with Nichelle Nichols, the lucky son of a bitch, in 1966, 1967, right? Which at that time, an interracial relationship, I mean, the Loving Case had just gone through in 66.
Yeah.
Right? So
This
is a big deal, right? And LA is a pretty stratified place, you know.
Immensely.
Jackie Robinson talked about it all the time, having grown up in Pasadena, about how shitty it was. Well, he starts a relationship with Majel Barrett while she's on the show, because if you remember, she was actually in the first pilot. She was number 1.
Ensign.
No, she was number 1.
Oh yeah, she was, wasn't she? Okay, yeah, all right.
So he starts up a relationship with her and Nichelle Nichols, and he actually goes to them both and he says, I'd like to keep sleeping with both of you. Can we have an open relationship? This is what I mean about narcissism. Like,
what?
Yeah.
What? How?
Yeah.
The sheer chutzpah.
Yeah.
Like
he puts the dick in big dick energy, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. Over and above, like the ways in which that could be hurtful.
Yes.
To both of them.
I don't think he cared about that part. I think he cared about what he wanted.
Wow. Okay.
Right. Now, Nichols appears to have backed off once Roddenberry suggested this because because he was still married too, because she so
because she didn't want to be part of a fucking harem.
Yeah, well, and she even said, I didn't want to be the other woman to the other woman.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, by all accounts, Roddenberry seems very smitten with Barrett, but also he wasn't going to divorce Eileen. He claimed it was because he couldn't run the show at the same time and deal with a divorce at the same time. And it's like,
that's weak sauce.
Yeah, it really is. Like, as a guy who's been through a divorce during finals week, fucking sucks. Oh, well, you know, and grant you, I'm not writing stories, but, you know, I'm doing, you know
what? How many?
Yeah.
No, stop.
Yeah.
No, he didn't even get that. No. This is
especially
LA,
since
for
he took
God's
off
sake.
for the
Like,
first
how
half
many-
of the season anyway.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So, like, how many writers, how many producers, how many whoever
Mm-hmm.
at any given time in LA are going through a divorce? It's LA. It's the TV industry, for God's sake.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's background noise to the culture.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, especially when we start getting into the 70s and into the, you know, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
This is, of course, before that, but you know, it's you know, where the wave began.
Yes.
You know, and like that is a transparently bad excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I was not teaching when I got my divorce, but you know, I got to tell you, unless you are for some reason really desperate to go to the mattresses about something,
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do is have a couple of meetings with an attorney
Mm-hmm.
and like sign the papers.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, could be more money equals more problems. You know, he had kids. My first divorce was very easy because we had nothing. I was student
true.
teaching at that time. My second
Okay.
divorce, a lot tougher, a lot more appointments, stuff like that. There were kids involved. There's property involved. Okay, cool. I get that. But you can
But
walk and chew
still.
bubble gum. Yeah.
yeah, like
So.
no. Just no.
It's not like you
Anyway.
don't have showrunners too. So,
Yeah. And a writer's room.
yeah. Now,
No,
as it
come on.
turns out, he and Nichols didn't stop because a number of times throughout the series, she was found in his office, either waiting for him, naked under his desk once, or in flagranto. I know you can't help but be
What?
impressed, but at the same time, like, you son of a bitch.
Like,
Because you've got a wife and you've got Majel Barrett. And again, I don't think this is very much evidence to him being woke when it comes to race and romance so much as it is him feeling entitled and, frankly, wanting his cake and Edith too.
yeah, what? Good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. You know, it is a known thing,
Mhm.
and I'm now fully on board with the narcissism angle here, because it is a known thing that narcissists are, because of their boundless confidence,
Mm-hmm.
they are like statistically ridiculously successful in you know, the wooing part of interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, sociopaths are charming.
Yeah. And so, wow.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm over
Oh
here
my
worried
God,
about
yeah.
respecting people, and he's, you know,
yeah. And he's like,
he's out there
whatever, man,
not.
get a kid off.
yeah. Now,
She Christmas.
he and Barrett were more and more open about their relationship. It was an open secret, as often
Yeah.
happened. And I would just point out, at the same time, he's still continuing his dalliances on occasion with Nichelle Nichols. And both him and Barrett did seem to be genuinely in love. And I think that you can absolutely argue that he was in love with her. But that didn't stop his eye from wandering, which is absolutely fine if we could find evidence that Majel Barrett was giving her informed, dignified consent. But by most research that I found, including interviews with her much after the fact, after he had died, she knew about his affairs, but they also clearly bothered her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was more that the relationship was focused on her adoration of him, which, if you really think about how he works through
Yeah.
the Star Trek convention circuits in the 70s and 80s, he
Oh,
basically
yeah.
just wanted to be, and I didn't dig into his family too much, but it would be interesting to see, but he wanted to be adored, apparently. Like, he really, really liked that. Roddenberry began in casting women specifically because he wanted to have sex with them. He even got Majel Barrett to go along with several sexual pranks on other writers. Yeah. Like, not actually
Wow.
banging them, but like
Okay.
seducing them in her underwear and all this. Now, he was also pretty braggadocious about these casting sessions with young talent. He would talk to the guys in the cast. He would talk to the guys in the writer's room. He would talk to the guys in the production companies. And he even gave his own secretary a raise so that she would inform him when his wife was on set before she got there, or when Majel Barrett was on set, because she wasn't a regular necessarily. She played Nurse Chapel once they got the series.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
He also, his office had very easily visible windows, and he had lots of sex up there with lots of different women, with other people being able to notice. So he was also an open prick to his wife when she was with him in social situations, to the point where he even contrived a moment where he could embarrass her by having an ex show up to a party with somebody else. So eventually,
wow.
Yeah, and he was trying to embarrass her publicly, which was weird. Now, eventually, he leaves his first wife, Eileen, and he eventually marries Majel Barrett. I don't know why I call her Majel Barrett, whereas I refer to everybody else by their last name, but it just has a rhythm to it. But he marries her in Japan. I think there was actually a bit of a problem legally with him marrying her, because technically he didn't have his divorce secure from his wife, but then they fixed that. But while he was in Japan, they did the Shinto ceremony, which to me screams fetishization. And while while he's in Japan, he absolutely gets it on with a masseuse within a week. And this seems to have been the norm throughout their entire marriage. And to me, that, I think both things can happen. I think he can be in love with his wife, or his second wife. Clearly he wasn't in love with his first one as much anymore. I think he can absolutely love Barrett and at the same time have that compulsion, because I think he's broken inside.
Well, yeah, and the compulsion involved is about needing, as a narcissist,
yes,
needing the hit,
needing the validation,
like needing the hit of validation, needing the hit of, adoration, admiration, the conquest, whatever it was, that
pursuit and then capture,
that reward.
Oh yeah.
Was something that he had an emotional addiction to.
Yep.
And that's the reason that people like that have so much trouble breaking those habits. If somebody does that once, the likelihood of them doing it again increases by God knows how many %.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's that you've got that hole in yourself and you're trying to fill it, and you never can, but then you ruin the rest of the world trying to fill that hole in yourself. Like we just had 4 years of that at the executive level.
Yeah.
So now it could be that and we were talking about this a little bit ago, it could be that this is all tied back to his Southern Baptist upbringing, because maybe it short-circuited him when it came to his own sexuality. Quite honestly, he might be one of those people that is wired for polyamory more so than monogamy. But the problem is, he lived in a time and a place where those things weren't really a thing. And so even if he explored them, he couldn't in polite society necessarily go, oh yeah, that's the thing that I do.
And on top of that, it wasn't enough of a thing that he had the likelihood of finding anybody as a partner who would have the capacity to give, informed, dignified consent, to that.
Or the desire for a partner with that.
Because
it swings both ways there. And it's actually similar to what I remember about Timothy Leary and the guy who wrote Wonder Woman and any number of other creatives who set it up where they get to have sex with lots of women, and all those women adore and revolve around them.
Oh, yeah.
So again, the problem there is that narcissism, and there's no account of any of these women saying, hey, I want to have a real open relationship on my end. They just kind of accept that this is how he is. And again, consent and pressure being what it was back then, I have to wonder if he's not just an earlier version of Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
So now here he used to write back and forth with Isaac Asimov, who actually criticized Star Trek at one point, and then Gene wrote to him and they had it out a little bit, but Gene was very respectful, and Asimov was like, actually I'm going to retract some of the things I said because you make some good points. So he had a good relationship with Asimov, who then later would advise on The Next Generation. But here's what he says, expressing, and I'm going to put in finger quotes, expressing sorrow over it all, because you tell me if you find sorrow. He said, "The separation and divorce after 26 years of marriage, particularly with my Southern family traditions and concerns over the sanctity of personal contracts, was a traumatic experience. I realize now it was much more difficult than it should have been. Relationships, like people, can die, and when they can be properly mourned, it seems to me that they should have a proper burial at the appropriate time. I wish I had realized all that sooner." Or I wish I had realized that all the sooner.
Huh.
Do you hear any sorrow in that?
Not really as such, no.
Yeah.
I really genuinely am not hearing an awful lot of sadness. I'm hearing a lot of, well, that's a sad thing.
Right.
And that's very different from, I carry a lot of hurt.
And it's also even that, I think I think I can find him saying that he's carrying a lot of hurt. My problem is he doesn't seem to have any regret as to his impact on other people. What you said earlier about, like, he went at it with no conception of how it might be considered hurtful to the other person. I think it's brilliant, because that's, I think, at the crux of it. He doesn't at any time acknowledge the feelings of anyone but himself in that quote. It's all about him, his trauma, his hurt, and it reads very similarly to his approach to religion.
Okay, I can see that.
I don't see any God that I should have to lay down to every 7 days, And I believe in a God, I just don't like these rules. And he doesn't like, because the rules stop him from getting to have what he wants when he wants it. And I think his approach to marriage, his approach to romance, and his approach to religion ultimately all go to the same thing. And frankly, I think that his approach to war versus peace is, while laudable, because he came out on the side of peace more often than not, it's still because peace is better for me.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. It's rooted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to note, while we're talking about this, that I find it interesting we're talking about, Gene Roddenberry's, dalliances and, inability to be faithful to a spouse ever. Mm-hmm. At the same time, we're talking about him corresponding with Isaac Asimov, who is a literary titan of the genre and is now has been removed from the canon of sci-fi saints in recent years because the truth has come out and people have stopped, whispering about the fact that he was a trickster. I'm trying to think what the term is, but when women at conventions that he was present at who had experience with him might, pull friends aside and go, "Don't get in an elevator alone with him."
Really?
Because Asimov was a, oh shucks, it's just, it's harmless. It's harmless fun. Why you got to be a prude?
Wow. So a sexual predator.
Grabby hands predator. Yeah.
Lovely.
And and so it's interesting that we're talking about these two figures within the genre corresponding with one another. Kind of like talking about Robert E. Howard and Lovecraft, corresponding and being best buddies. Like, wow, the racism. Like,
exactly. And how much of that is, like, you can say, well, that's the water they were swimming in, because it absolutely was, but also they're also reinforcing each other's shittiestness.
Well, they're reinforcing each other's shittiestness, and the other thing is, yes, that was when we're talking about Asimov, when we're talking about Asimov, certainly, again, he was he had a reputation. So it's not just he was, well, guys did that.
Right.
Which
he stood out.
Sadly, they did.
He stood out when they did that. Yeah. Yeah.
There was sadly a chance that, any dude you got into an elevator alone with was going to, try to get pushy. But Asimov had a reputation for it.
Wow.
Man,
that's awful.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, they're both awful. Such wonderfully creative individuals, and it's like their work is amazing. But
they created worlds that they had full control over and got to do with women in those worlds whatever they wanted.
Yes.
Which I feel terrible saying that about fiction writers.
Mm-hmm.
But that does seem to be a trope.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
So that's race and sex when it comes to Gene Roddenberry in his personal life. And that's a good place to stop for this episode because I almost got to the TV show.
We're right there.
We're
right at the crux.
We really are. So next episode, we'll do more of that. But so far, besides the fact that he was having sex with Nichelle Nichols, what have you gleaned?
I did not. I'm again. I've mentioned this before. I'm like Trekkie adjacent in terms of fandom. Like, I watched the series. I really enjoyed TNG a lot. And I understand all of the tropes that are associated with the original series and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I was never enough of a fan to read the memoirs and the autobiographies and the stuff of cast members and people from the original series. And so the version of Roddenberry's story that I've gotten is the Texas State history textbook version. The Plaster Saint version of the story. And I vaguely knew that there was this situation where Majel Barrett was the other woman, and I kind of knew that, but the extent to which he was a serial cheater is new, and I'm saddened to hear it, and I think I'm even sadder to find out how little I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's one of those where, yeah, absolutely. Like when you hear that somebody, I don't know, you hear that I get arrested and taken out of a school board in handcuffs. You're going to be like, yeah, it fits.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he got too mouthy, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, like Gene Roddenberry his vice is cheating. It's
actresses.
Philandering. Yeah.
His vice is actresses.
Yeah.
And
which would again be fine if he wasn't in a position of power. Like, I don't care what people do in their romantic lives, but he's in a position of power, and it's inherently that's the problem I have with it.
Well, it inherently carries tones of being rapey.
Yes.
Because he's in a position of power. It inherently puts in question the level of willingness involved, as you've already said, like in every case across the board. And I'm going to say additionally, you're entirely right that the power imbalance is a big deal. It's a huge big deal. But just the fact that you promised somebody that you were going to be their partner.
Yep.
And then you not like once, made a series of bad judgment calls and slept with somebody else, which would be bad enough.
Right.
But you are so fucked up, frankly, that you keep doing it. Speaks to a deep level of moral failing. even if everybody involved, even if he and every one of his sexual partners were totally, there was no question of anybody's active, willing, enthusiastic consent, there's still a third and apparently a fourth person involved in all of this. And if you don't have their consent, then that's still ugly.
And that's a third and fourth steady. Never mind all the rest.
Yeah.
And the amount of contrivances that you have to, I mean, it's okay. Yeah. So it's a depressing gleaning today.
Yeah.
So.
And I kind of, and just totally incidentally, I follow Will Wheaton on Twitter and on Facebook, and I'm a big fan of his writing.
Sure.
And I kind of wonder, because he's spoken a great deal about his relationship with Roddenberry. And again, he was one of the people on screen. He was one of the cool kids.
Yes.
He was playing a character who was at least partially named after Roddenberry's son with Majel Barrett. Because Roddenberry's middle name is Wesley. So, but anyway.
Okay.
And he talks about his experiences with Gene as being almost like a surrogate dad in some cases. And I kind of wonder, because I mean, by that time, Roddenberry was much older, and we're talking about TNG, not the original series.
Right.
I wonder how much of this he knows, and like the other people who worked with him later in his career, with Roddenberry later in his career, how much of it they know, and how much of it was just like, well, he's not doing that so much anymore, so there's no reason for us to bring it up, kind of thing.
I would say, because I've looked into this a bit, the way that he treated writers, like he would fuck with them by like denying them parking spots and messing with like shit, like just petty, or moving their offices and stuff, and not like in a way that was a joke, like, oh no, I don't like you, so your office is now further away, just petty shit, right?
Okay.
He would do that. And there were producers who did his bidding, and there were producers who were shown the door, and then there were talents who were brought in and who had terrible stories about Gene Roddenberry. I would say that, like we said before, a sociopath can be very charming, and his treatment of Will Wheaton makes perfect sense. And so does his treatment of other people. Like, they pick and choose. They absolutely pick and choose.
Yeah.
And I think that Will Wheaton was a kid, so he gets a pass on how he's accepted it. And I kind of get not wanting to crack that open, or just being like, well, I don't need to come out publicly and talk about a man who's been dead for 25
X
years.
Number of years. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so
that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
So,
and yeah.
Also, it's
so anyway,
work.
That popped into my head thinking about that.
So, any books you want people to take a look at?
I'm going to very strongly recommend that everybody read Stranger in a Strange Land, because we were talking about Heinlein earlier. And it's one of Heinlein's philosophical books where, I mean, he gets preachy, but he manages to do it in a way that is more consistently entertaining and less didactic than, say, in Starship Troopers, which is one long lecture on political theory that winds up getting lost in the weeds of oh my God, how fascist are you? Which is both totally true and simultaneously really unfair. And I think I figured out what it is I'm going to be doing an episode on here very soon.
Good.
So yeah, but since we mentioned it, and since we're talking about Roddenberry's relationship to religion, I think Heinlein's relationship to religion is a good point of comparison.
Okay. Well, I'm going to recommend Nichelle Nichols' autobiography called Beyond Uhura, Star Trek and Other Memories, because she's a woman who is in sci-fi at the beginning of TV sci-fi, and she wrote her own damn book. Or if she didn't write it, it was ghostwritten and she got the credit, but I'm pretty sure she wrote it. And she is a tremendously talented woman and endlessly fascinating. Never mind her beauty. Like, she's a really cool gal. And so I would recommend
a wicked sense of humor too.
Yeah. And I would recommend going and hearing things in her words. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can actually get that as an audio as well. So
okay,
I don't know if it's read by her, but I hope so. So
okay.
If people want to argue with you about Heinlein or anything else on the social media, where can they find you?
They can find me in these streets. Oh wait, no, you said sorry online. They can find me at EH_Blaylock on the Twitter, and at EH_Blaylock on Instagram. And they can, of course, find both of us simultaneously if they want to yell at the two of us together in cyberspace. They can do it at Geek History Time on the Twitter machine. Where can they find you?
You can find me at Duh Harmony. That's on the Insta and on the Twitter. 2 H's in the middle. You can always find me every Tuesday night on twitch.tv/Capital Puns. And if you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button on this podcast, rate, subscribe, review, give us that 5 stars because you know we earned it. You can find us on Stitcher, you can find us on Spotify, and you can find us on the Apple Store. So however you came by us, you can also do that. Also, feel free to visit geekhistorytime.com. If you want to just stream it while you're doing other things, that's also nice. So
there you go.
Recommend it to your friends. Show them your favorite episode. Show them the buffet that is the number of topics that we have, because I think that is pretty cool. And we would love it if you could please, again, rate, subscribe, review, give us a 5-star if you think we earned it, and you know we did. So.
And, if you have something you want us to get all pointy-headed about,
yes,
let us know, because, if we can find a hook in it, we'll do it.
Have hook, we'll travel. Yeah. So for Geek History of Time, I'm Damian Harmony.
And I'm Ed Blaylock. And until next time, boldly go.